to just exist. I want to live. This was a sentence I had always repeated to myself as a young girl. Maybe I had heard it somewhere, but I couldn't remember where. The more I grew up, the more it began to make sense. And when I decided to embark on my journey to Granada, it resonated deeper than ever. As it was the first time I left my home country, Morocco, to go overseas. Initially, it was supposed to be for my academic life as an exchange PhD student, but I knew deep inside that it was more than that. It was a journey that would push me beyond the limits of who I thought I was. The first time I set foot in Granada, I felt like a butterfly, hovering just outside its cocoon, eager yet hesitant, thrilled yet bound by invisible threads of hope. The air was thick with the scent of orange blossoms, and the ancient stones of the Alhambra whispered stories of grandeur, resilience, and timeless beauty. It was a city that filled with history, yet it felt like it had been waiting for me all along. This journey was more than a trip. It was a self-exploration, a reckoning with the person I had been and one I was becoming. The part of me that I still struggle to define was dead sure that this was more than academia. It was something greater, something I couldn't yet articulate but felt deeply in my bones. For the first time in my life, I was about to venture overseas, leaving behind the familiarity of home to embrace the unknown. I had craved this adventure of self-discovery, yet homesickness embraced me and embraced my life like a shadow. But Granada, with its orange blossom scents and poetic echoes, softened the ache. The golden glow of the Alhambra reminded me of the sun-kissed walls of my childhood, and the rhythmic melodies of flamenco resonated with the beating of my own heart, reassuring me that I was not lost, I was simply finding myself. As I wandered its streets, I was struck by how much Granada reminded me of my hometown, Meknes. The narrow alleys, the way life unfolded in the bustling souks, all mirrored the city where I had grown up. The scent of spices, teas, the echoes of laughter in the market squares, and the way the sun painted the buildings with different shades of colors felt deeply familiar. The markets of the Alcaiceria enchanted me with their vibrant tapestries. I found myself running my fingers over old leather bags and artwork that carried stories of travelers like me, seekers who had come searching for something more. It took me back to that childhood memory of my mom and I. Well, we'd been running errands in the old souks of the Medina, where I had always been fascinated by the great work of artisans, but I was never allowed to touch them because my mom would just ground me, claiming that I might just destroy them. Touching the tea leaves and smelling it, mixed with the smell of jasmine, orange blossoms, and rose, gave it a unique yet an inexplicable scent. My inner child was just happy in Granada. It was as if I had found a second home, one that welcomed me with open arms while pushing me gently toward growth and transformation. One defining moment came when I got lost in Albaicin late one evening. My phone had died, and for the first time I couldn't rely on maps or calls for help. Panic threatened to creep in, but instead I took a deep breath and decided to trust myself. I followed the dimly lit paths, listened to my intuition, and allowed my instinct to guide me. With each step, I realized how much I had grown, how self-reliant I had become. When I finally found my way back, I wasn't just relieved, I was proud. That night, I truly understood that this journey was shaping me in ways I had never anticipated. Every step through the labyrinth streets led me deeper into the realization that I was ready to spread my wings. The fear that had once gripped me began to fade, replaced by the intoxicating thrill of independence. The city spirit had given me the courage to leave my cocoon and embrace life I had always desired. I felt lighter, freer, as if my wings had fully unfurled at last. Every walk to the Mirador de San Nicolas was a journey of its own, a quiet moment to remind myself of how I had survived and why it was all worth it. Watching the sunset behind the majestic Alhambra, I knew I was no longer just yearning for transformation, I was living it. My expectations for this journey had been many: self-reliance, self-regulation, a deeper connection with myself. And Granada delivered on all of them. Traveling alone forced me to listen more to my own thought, to trust my instincts, and to rely solely on myself. I was my only companion, and in that solitude, I found a stronger, braver version of myself. I made mistakes, yes, ones I had never dared to make before, but my curiosity led me to them. And for the first time, I judged them not because I had been told to, but because I had experienced them myself. The surprising part was how much less harsh I was on myself. After all, I only had me, and that realization was profound. It unveiled the true meaning of not just being, but experimenting, daring, and testing. In other words, living. Thank you so much.